Borsdorf, parenting coach and lead therapist here at the Bridge Center for Play Therapy. And I am coming to you live on this fabulous YouTube stream. We ran into some technical issues earlier this afternoon, so I wanted to make sure to get this content to you as quickly as possible. So therefore, we are here at about 8 p.m. Mountain Time, wanting to talk about this topic of letting go in regards to specifically your kiddos, but we will talk more in depth about how that relates to your own life and world as well. So I'm super excited to be here and connect with you in whatever facet that might be. So I welcome all of you who are watching. If it's your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who have joined us before, thank you as well. So we are closing out our month of January here, talking about disappointment and loss and not getting what you want. So if you haven't checked out our first series of this live stream, please do. Please check that out on our website, where you can find our first training, The Art of Not Getting What You Want. We are really taking this training to the next level with that same content and really building upon it. So I highly encourage you to find your way to our free resources page on our website, the Bridge Center for Play Therapy.com, where you can access that and dive into that first, and then come back and revisit this one as well. So without any further ado, I would really love to jump right into the content I have for you today, and really help you engage with this concept of what it means to let go, especially as it relates to those kiddos that we know that have a hard time leaving us or tend to be more clingy or more attached in moments of distress. I really want to give you some valuable strategies and useful insight into what's happening there and how that is helpful and for you and your kiddo. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a PowerPoint here, and hopefully we won't have any issues with sharing the screen with you. Let's see here if I can screen share. All right, great. So right now you should be able to see Learning to Let Go, a free training for parents. That's the topic of our conversation today. Like I said before, I'm parenting coach and licensed professional counselor, Bridget Borsdorf. I'm the owner and director of the Bridge Center for Play Therapy. And our intention here, and my intention with my work and my life, is to really help you enhance the well-being of yourself as a parent in conjunction with the well-being of your child and entire family. And we wanted to do that by being able to culminate strong connections through the ability to build emotional awareness. So you'll hear me talk, if you've seen me talk before, a lot about emotional awareness and emotional process. We're going to dig really deep in that today. This is really the essence of what it means to connect with your child and connect with yourself and really enhance the ability to parent in this wild and crazy world. So let's get started. So let's talk about what we're meaning in regards to letting go. So we could think about it, we're going to think about it today in a really literal sense. We talked about in our previous live training about letting go, disappointment, loss, not getting what you want in kind of more of a figurative sense. And today I want to offer it to you in ways that it might concretely be showing up with your child. So that being drop-offs could be one of those things. When you drop your child off to school, that transition is really challenging. That could also mean social times, play dates, or at school. Your child tends to be more at your hip side or close proximity to you, or not wanting to let go and kind of engage. leaving your side in any setting. They really want you to be right there, really connected. So they could be demonstrating some clingy behaviors, like latching onto you, grabbing you, grabbing your clothes, not wanting to leave your arms, those kinds of things. And also could just demonstrate some of the kind of shy oriented behaviors as well, just not being as socially engaged, being more resistant to new people, those kinds of things. So today we're talking about letting go in this real literal sense of what letting go means. And we're going to talk about why that's happening and what's going on. I think all of us as parents and professionals in this field want to create, the most well-rounded child we can, but at the same time, we don't want to disown parts of them. So let me just be clear that I'm not saying any of these particular things, if this is describing your child right now, is a bad thing or wrong or not okay. I myself tend to be more shy and clingy in certain circumstances, and certainly understand that on some level can just be a behavior of personality. But what we want to do is we want to start to create some independence and autonomy, and I'm going to tell you how to get there today. So when we engage in these particular behaviors that I outlined for you here, there's one main thing that's happening, and that is loss. Okay, so if I am the clingy child and I tend to want to be close or connected or clingy or attached to your hip or not want to leave you or prefer you over dad or dad over you, whatever it might be, I'm trying to process in my little body, in my little brain, what it means to lose, what it means to go away, what it means to have something end, what it means to not have contact as close anymore. And when I experience that main concept of loss, what's going to happen in my body is I'm probably going to experience some sort of emotional reaction to that. I'm either going to be mad, I'm going to be sad, or I'm going to be scared. Okay, so this is kind of the fundamental concept that we talked a lot about in Not Getting What You Want, the first training to this series, that the idea here is when I don't get what I want, meaning if I have to leave you, which is an element of not getting what I want, I'm experiencing some loss. Once I experience that loss, I'm going to have emotional association with that, meaning I'm going to get mad, I'm going to get sad, or I'm going to get scared, okay? So we're just kind of tracking right now the chain of events, which is I get dropped off, I feel a sense of loss, and then I have an emotional reaction. So we tend to not really like to talk about loss, and we could go into several reasons as to why that is in our culture and our world. But the reality of the concept is, loss initiates that emotional response. It initiates a mad, sad, or scared. And most of us don't want to feel that. We'd rather seek joy or pleasure or satisfaction or companionship. We'd rather move towards that than move towards the unfavorable feeling and sensation. So what's happening in the loss and what's happening in this departure from one another is a strong element of not getting what I want. So you may have the child who doesn't get what they want when they go to the grocery store. No, we're not getting that candy today. We're not getting that ice cream today. We're not getting that. But you also have a layer of this when you have a difficult drop off or challenge with transition time or being clingy. It's very similar energy. So there comes a great deal of disappointment, right? As a kiddo who has incredible parents and wants to be with their parent all the time, there's almost like this devastating factor that happens when we start to engage in some of these more independent experiences. So from a very young age, I was grown in my mama's belly. And then after that, I, got the experience of being really close, possibly participating in feeding together, participating in soothing together, participating in all these really close, deep connections. And that is what my brain has been conditioned to experience and feel. And so when we start to move away from that, for example, go to school or go to play dates or meet new people, there's a great deal of disappointment that occurs in our brains and our bodies. And it's a new sensation. It's a new experience, which means our brains and our bodies are going to be very resistant to that. Anytime I have some resistance, it tends to cause upset or emotional reaction. So for those of you who struggle with drop off or struggle with departing from you and your child, all that's occurring is this is something new and different. It's causing a great sense of loss. It's causing an element of not getting what I want. It's causing some disappointment, and that's going to lead us to an upset or emotional reaction. The mad, sad, and scared that we just talked about. So we talked a little about just a moment ago about the attachment factor. And to just kind of normalize this for you a little bit, I think it's important to really recognize that, of course, this is going to have an intense experience for our little ones because they spent so much time being so connected to us. And same for us as well. Let me just note that too, is that we've spent so much time attaching and attuning and helping them soothe and regulating their bodies and their beings and rocking them and feeding them and really being reliant on us and us, really helping nurture their development and their feeling okay in the world. And so when we start to go through individuation or we start to go through detachment, it creates a big old experience in our bodies, okay? For us as the caregiver and, of course, for the child, because this is all very, very new. So there's benefits to this particular process, even if it causes emotional upset and temper tantrums, meltdowns, whatever kind of slew of symptoms you're getting in this departure and this detachment process. The benefits of letting go are really that your child gets to have an emotional process, okay? And so, just as we soothe them and we calm them and we help them process in their little beings and bodies, by being really close to them, what we're now trying to integrate into their bodies is that they can do it on their own and that they can be by themselves and that they can figure out how to get that mad, sad, and scared through their brain and through their bodies and be okay with that. And that it kind of creates this element of us not having to do it for them like they've been conditioned to think we'll do. And similarly, we've been conditioned to think we'll do. So another benefit to this is that we get to model for our child an attachment to ourselves. And what I mean by this is just, and this, can be very difficult, is that I get to model for my child when we depart one another or when we leave each other that that I'm going to be okay too. Because often we have the child who sees that you might not be okay, so then therefore they feel like they shouldn't be okay. And if you can model that you're going to be okay and you're going to handle your emotional experience and have the expectation that they'll handle their emotional experience, we're modeling this really beautiful, really exciting experience of being very attached to ourselves. And that only leads to one thing: being more independent and being more autonomous in the world. And I think most of us want our children to be able to handle challenges as they come, be able to process their emotions, be able to accept experiences, and therefore constantly kind of have this movement forward rather than getting hindered or stuck in their emotional experience. The big, big, big benefit of this is that I promise you, and this may seem kind of backwards, so please stay with me, and I hope I can offer this to you by the time we get to the end of this training, is that by you modeling attachment to your emotional experience and your emotional process, not only are you creating this independence and autonomy for your child, you're creating independence and autonomy for yourself. And when we do that, we get to have this amazing, really deep, really loving, really extraordinary connection with one another. I tend to believe that unless I'm attached to myself, it is very difficult to connect with others. It's very difficult to take in experiences, and it's very difficult to have absolute, unconditional love, even if it's my own child. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about emotional process and what that means. So emotional process, as I articulated earlier, is having a feeling. Okay, so we stick to the core feelings here, which are mad, sad, scared. And we could incorporate joy or happiness into that as well, but we tend not to struggle with those as much. So therefore, that's why I emphasize mad, sad, and scared predominantly. So that's the first phase, really. It's just us, I'm having a feeling that begins the emotional process. The second phase to that is really being accepting of that feeling. So many of us just bolt away from the negative feelings, and that can be in our own lives and our own experiences. But I notice this most with our parent child relationships is that, like I said before, we're really conditioned that my role as a parent is to soothe you, and my role as a parent is to make you feel good about yourself. And I think we're really missing something really important here, that if we want our child to be independent and be in the world and go on and maybe someday move out of our house, that it's really important to teach them to be accepting of all of their feelings, right? So therefore, my role as a parent is to not hinder them from their emotional experience, but rather face it head on. I see it so often of parents having the experience that their child is upset and really wanting to mitigate the upset, really wanting to either change the behavior or get it to stop or have that be over, because there's nothing more heartbreaking than us witnessing our child, throwing a tantrum or having a meltdown. Like, it really is painful. So I understand that, and I want to really normalize for you that witnessing your child in distress is not a bad thing, and that our only role here is to be able to handle our own emotions in relationship to that distress, and effort to teach them accountability and resilience in whatever emotional experience that they're having. So this introduces us to our key factor here, okay? Key factor is that if you want to minimize the distress of your child, whether that's in the letting go process, the departure process, or the overall big umbrella of the world, that you must be able to handle your emotions and effort to handle your child's. If I, as a parent, refuse to handle my mad, sad, and scared, guess what's going to happen with my child? They're also going to refuse to handle mad, sad, and scared, okay? They're looking to you as the model to demonstrate your ability to emotionally process, and effort for them to learn how to also emotionally process. So we can talk about attachment here in regards to emotion. So your ability to relate to your emotion models healthy attachment, okay? So if I feel very comfortable with feeling mad, sad, and scared, then the likelihood that I'll feel comfortable with someone else feeling mad, sad, or scared is higher. And then we get to connect together in our mad, sad, and scared. And that's really the fruit here. That's the piece of where you get to deepen that connection. I always reference, some of like really engaging, deep conversations that I have with friends or family members, of this element of, when we're both in tears and we're both sad. I mean, I even experience this with parents on a regular basis of when our vulnerability heightens, our connection really enhances. So your ability to relate to your emotions here will really help create a healthy attachment with your child. Furthermore, this is going to reduce your child's attachment to you. And I don't mean this in the sense of, oh, you're no longer going to connect, or you're not going to get to hang out with each other, and you're not going to have special time. Actually, this means the opposite, that you're going to reduce your child's need for you to help soothe them, regulate them, or process their own emotional experience. They're going to get to do that on their own. Okay, so what's beautiful about that is when your child gets upset or distressed and you're not there, they can handle that. We get into this thought process that, yes, I want to be there for my kid. I want to be able to support them. I want to be able to help them feel what they're feeling. Like, yes, I am with you, and I get that. But the reality of our experience is that our child is not always going to have us. And if we're not there, the distress is going to be sky high, with the expectation that they want you to be there to help fix it or make it go away. So we're looking to really kind of splice out that attachment to you, not to minimize your connection or relationship with them, but really, in essence, to help them be more regulated and attuned to themselves when you might not be present. This is ultimately is what's going to create more independence and more autonomy. And let me just be clear on that as well, of like, this doesn't minimize your connection. This really enhances your connection with your child. But what it does do, it means when they have a breakup, when they're 16 with their first girlfriend, they're going to be able to handle that emotional experience independently and autonomously. What I mean is when you drop them off for school, they may be upset, but they're going to be able to transition into that environment, having coping skills and strategies to be able to help their emotional process. What I mean is that they're not going to need you all the time. And I know as parents, we want to be needed, and that our time with our little ones is so short. And so we really relish in this wanting them, or them wanting us to help them. And I think we still get to enjoy those moments, but there also becomes this really extraordinary piece when my child can regulate themselves or move through an emotional process on their own, and I can move through an emotional process on my own. Then that means we're no longer pushing each other's buttons, getting into each other's space, or creating, this challenge that kind of blows up in adolescence or when we get older. It's really modeling healthy attachment, healthy attunement, and healthy emotional process at a very early age. And this will lead to empowering them to handle the challenge, whatever the challenge may be, whether they're 4 years old and didn't get the ice cream cone, or whether they're 14 and didn't make the soccer team. These are the same, this process is the same for both. So let's look at a specific case study, because I hear so often parents want like concrete examples and say, okay, right, so like tell me how to do this, okay? And we'll get there, but I think it's helpful to kind of look at this in a very specific way as we started this conversation, and that is, so let's talk about the school drop-off, okay? If that's a challenge for you, school drop-off, you get to school, it's time for you to go to work, for your kiddo to go to school, and the behaviors that emerge are, I'm clingy to you, I don't want you to go, I'm in tears, waterworks, can't breathe, screaming, crying, whatever it might be. It's very observable distress. It's very clear that there's distress happening. So these are the behaviors. What emotions are underneath those behaviors are probably going to be something around what we've already been talking about: mad, sad, or scared. All right. So we know behaviors are just going to be a decoy for having an emotional experience. And when we look at your role as the model, we first have to decide, okay, I'm going to handle my own emotional experience in relationship to what's happening right now, to model for my child that it's okay to feel what I feel. So let's be really candid and honest about this. It's heartbreaking, as we know, to see your child in a significant amount of distress. And the key piece here is to let your child know how sad it is to leave them, how difficult it is to watch this, how scary this might feel or be, how angry you are or they might be of having to go to school and we don't get to play. So you're really just there to model how distressing this is. For some of you, it may be the opposite, right? Like, yep, my kid's in distress, just gotta let him cry it out, let him go. That's fine too, but if you want the child to emotionally process, we have to give some language and some words to what's happening. We can't there's some sort of expectation for our child that they're gonna understand how to do this. As we first said, this is all new. Departing from my caregiver who's given me everything I possibly could have wanted up until the time where I have to go to school on my own, devastating, like absolutely devastating. So we have to provide the content verbally and energetically to what's happening in order to help their distress, right? We're not taking their distress away. That would be picking them back up, putting them back in the car and going home, right? We didn't learn anything there. But what it is us really demonstrating that this is really hard and this is really complicated and this is really sad and scary and overwhelming, and that's okay. And eventually we can move towards having the expectation that the child's going to be able to model that same thing back to us. Okay? So the key points here. Letting go is an opportunity to teach your child about loss. Okay? Letting go is just a concept around being able to allow your child to have an emotional process around what it means to lose something, what it means to have something go away, what it means to not get what I want. And emotions are going to happen. They are going to feel something, right? Like, it's very clear when I have to leave my mom or dad, that is very hard. And this isn't a bad thing. This isn't a bad thing at all. This is just an opportunity for them to get really good at feeling what it feels like to move through an experience related to loss or disappointment or not getting what I want. Additionally, this is a great opportunity for you to look at your relationship with your emotions. And if you're getting a lot of distress and you're getting a lot of overwhelm and you're getting a lot of waterworks and a lot of meltdowns, I would really encourage you to assess your own relationship with mad, sad, and scared. And are you willing to feel those? If you're not willing to feel those, that's okay too. But remember that this is an opportunity to help your child learn strategies to be able to handle any challenge that may come to them in the future, in their adulthood, in their adolescence. It's really going to encourage them to be more regulated throughout their life. And I promise you, decrease your stress level and intensity as a parent. So modeling your attachment to self will encourage your child's attachment to self. So you being able to reflect to them how difficult it is for you to leave them when they're upset, how difficult it is for you to depart from them from the day, how difficult it is for you to let go and say goodbye, is going to be crucial to them understanding that you're vulnerable and that you have feelings too, and they're not the only one. So let's talk about taking this to the next level. So I highly encourage you to become really curious about your relationship with loss and attachment. And this may be just an inquiry that you just sit with. This may be a journal entry for you. This may be really kind of looking at patterns in your life and what's occurred, perhaps how you as a child fostered attachment with your caregivers. Just really kind of create a database to know for yourself where you're coming from, to understand a little bit more about your behaviors. And that's really all it is. I feel like the more information we can gather about our emotional experience, then the more likelihood we have to be able to shift it or make it different or find a way that works better for us. Secondly, understand the role of emotions. As I said before, we really tend to move away from those that are less favorable and try to seek those that are most pleasurable. And I understand this is just a fundamental premise of human nature. And if we can understand that emotions, regardless of their quality, or if they're favorable or unfavorable, have a crucial opportunity for us to understand ourselves in the world, then it makes a lot more sense for us to really encourage our children to be able to express and experience them as well. The other piece here is get support, right? If this feels like you're, as a parent, experiencing more distress than you're experiencing kind of the fun and engaging and connected parts of this very difficult role, then I would highly advocate for you to get some support just to kind of maybe help dig into these pieces, right? About what your relationship to loss and attachment is and what your role is with emotions, because the more awareness you have about that, the more helpful you're going to be in guiding your children in this particular piece. So the fourth piece here is parenting coaching. We have an amazing parent coaching program here at the Bridge Center that dives really deep into this particular content, and have had many parents really transform their ability to parent and transform their connection to themselves. It goes far beyond just you and your child's relationship. I've seen so much amazing stuff happen with parents, even in their relationships with their partners and friends, other children, their jobs, everything. So this work really focuses on the parent-child relationship, but transcends into all aspects of your life. So I highly encourage you to check out our website here at the Bridge Center for Play Therapy.com. Or on Facebook to see if we could possibly be of support to you. In addition, we do 2 webinars a month to be able to help build your skill sets, to be able to make you feel confident and capable and really trust yourself in this sometimes very difficult world of parenting. So I highly encourage you to get on our email list to get signed up for our next webinar. And as I said before, we are always open to the opportunity to dig deeper into this work. Me, along with my colleagues here, are highly passionate about doing everything we can to impact and influence the role of parenting in the world, and to be able to foster really amazing kids who are going to go on and do really big things in the world. So if that's of interest to you, I highly encourage you to check us out. Like I said, you can find us at the Bridge Center for Play Therapy.com. I'm going to pull it up for you right now. Perhaps you already found us that way. We are currently offering a parenting package to really take this work to the next level. So if you're interested in parenting coaching, we have accessible to you. You can purchase 4 sessions and get 1 free. So you can find all of that information here on our website. I thank you so much for joining us this evening. Let me try to get back to you all. There you are. And I really hope that you have some insight into how to work on letting go, not in the sense of letting go forever. I really understand how deeply connected we are to our parents, and as a child myself, and our children, as someone who has lots of connections with lots of kiddos. It's very deep, and the essence of it is something really beautiful. So I hope you found something encouraging today or helpful today, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. We encourage feedback or questions or anything that might be kind of skimming your brain. Please feel free to connect with us, and I hope we get to connect again. Take care. Thanks, everyone.